For my third session of day two, South by Southwest, I went to the Powering a New Era in College Sports, obviously talking about the sports industry, and I named my notes Beyond the Field. I am a big college football gal. I went to the University of Alabama for my undergrad. Therefore, I had to go see the SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey speak here. College sports has had a massive disruption within the past year to two with recruiting, with NIL deals, and the transfer portal has completely shifted an industry where things have been pretty nonchalant and standard for the last couple of years. The athlete experience is truly a whole new ballgame in this regard, as our competition culture and commerce is as fierce as ever and is beyond competitive. What was a really interesting takeaway is each panelist talked about evolution. In this day and age, we have to keep up with times, we have to be adaptable, we have to change. And for the social media and the platforms of athletes now need to have brand management and monetize their names now more than ever. What was a really interesting perspective is the UT athletics director actually claimed that NIL deals are a disadvantage for student athletes instead of being an advantage. He said the ability to create a personal brand while being partnered with a team, like that's what it should be all about. And something that I did not know previously is that in Texas, it was actually banned for all Texas institutions as college athletes to do NIL deals originally. So arguably, you can root your investment in the school as it has been done, for the past 50 years, which can be more attractive overall. However, the competition is going to be the same if you're trying to branch out on your own. Like if you are individually selecting an athlete for NIL deals, for a school in UT, you're going to have the same competition as the quarterback for UT as you will, for the quarterback of Alabama or Notre Dame. So fierce competition individually rather than having that team dynamic as a whole, and showing how that each state has those different rules or institutions have different rules. So it's not everyone's on the same playing field necessarily. Another interesting thing that they talked about is putting new teams in the SEC. So this is something I'm all too familiar with. Recently there's been like the change in zoning for conferences, also like being from Colorado, like Boulder being in a different conference. And they describe the expansion as simply being adapt or die. What is the right decision when getting that invite to that conference or deciding to switch? And UT argued that they tried to use it as a strong point. So the University of Texas sat back for the first year when they were invited to the SEC, and they used it as a year of opportunity, growth. They gained funding, they built up their athletes, they built up their program, included the opinion of predecessors, and ultimately decided to put themselves in a strong leadership position before continuing opportunities to open the gate to flood into the SEC. And they've been doing really well. So I would say that strategy worked out really well from them. And the last little segment that they kind of touched on was women's sports. Women's sports is being watched now more than ever. Specifically, like they talked about Caitlin Clark, or the Cavalier twins, who are basketball players as well. And then the thing that surprised me is the biggest women's sport right now is volleyball. Volleyball is getting sold out, is getting more time on ESPN. Like Nebraska had a sold out arena just to have them play in the Husker Stadium, which I thought was really interesting. And they said that one of the greatest things that's ever happened in college sports is Title IX, specifically focusing on women and watching young women have the chance to progress in sports has been huge. Another really interesting part is they talked about nuggets, and nuggets meaning that there are small media clips that are popping off like just absolutely booming as compared to just showing like sport reel highlights or a rerun on ESPN. So the panel included the host, which is a reporter from ESPN, the Texas athletic director, the commissioner of the SEC, and there was one more as well. But the sports industry is dynamic, and I do think it is hard to have this change in it for both men or women, and they have been trying to put a great emphasis on having these nugget video content. So they call it the nuggets as the programming of these bite-sized nuggets, and that's posting on TikTok, Instagram, and even the news having those, short mind span, super quick clips. It has both had people familiar and people unfamiliar with sports talking, and that's what's making it boom. 15-second video just gives you a little bit more intellect than you had before, and takes little to no time out of your day. So if you're familiar with it, you're going to keep watching it. If you're unfamiliar, now you're becoming more knowledgeable in this industry, with players, teams, what exactly is going on. And I completely concur with that. I've seen that in myself more as well. The media impact is just insane, especially in women's sports that we've seen here. There has never been a time in the history of this business or the sports industry where this many people are paying attention to sports. And that can be for a variety of reasons. But I overall really liked this session as well. It broke away from what I originally thought that they were going to talk about, and I really liked how they tapped into women's sports, NIL deals. I wish they would have talked a little bit more about the college football transfer portal. They used Auburn as an example, and they also used high school athletes because they're just not getting the attention they used to as a recruiting class, just lining up all the high schoolers, pursuing their dream as a college athlete. That is getting a little bit more diminished because of the transfer portal. I wish they would have, like I said, touched on that a little bit more. But overall, just showing like the evolution in this day and age, and as they said, adapt or die. And I think they're doing a really great job within media and trying to navigate this whole new ball game. So I really enjoyed listening to this session as well.